Respected brothers and sisters, Hatem Assam, in reply to his Sheikh's question of what it is that you learned in the 33 years of keeping company with me. You spent 33 years in my company. What did you learn? And he replied, I learned 8 lessons. 8 lessons in this 33 years. Out of disappointment, his Sheikh replied, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. At least if you learn 1 lesson for the year, right, that could be 33 lessons. Only 8 lessons? Only 8 lessons. My dear brothers and sisters, we dealt with 2 of them, so that I remind myself and everyone else. The first lesson that he said that he learned, he said that he realized that everybody develops a love for someone or something. Love for wife, husband, children, parents, family members, neighbors. We develop love for our property, our homes, our cars, our businesses, an affection we develop for these things. And I realize, he says, that when we are laid in the grave, all of these things that we had so much of love for leaves us. And the only thing that is going to accompany me in the grave is the actions and the deeds that I perform. So I decided I would develop a love for my actions, my good deeds. Let me develop a love for that. So when I go in the grave, they will accompany me. I have company. All the rest of things, they're going to remain. The second lesson that he said that he learned is that he read in the Quran that Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَىٰ. That person who fears his standing before his Lord on the day of judgment, he's worried about that. He fears that standing before his Lord, that he has to give an answer for everything that he does, everything that he did in this world. And because of that fear, he thinks twice, should I do this action? Should I continue with this action that I'm doing? And because of that, he refrains and he stays away from those sinful deeds, those actions that Allah Azza and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prohibited us from. He stayed away from it. Not because he couldn't achieve it, not because he didn't have the means, but the only reason for his staying away is the fear of Allah. Maybe he had the physical strength, maybe he had the wealth, maybe he had all the opportunity to commit the wrong, the temptations that were there, but he stayed away, and the reason for his staying away is the fear of Allah, that I have to stand before my Lord, and because of that, he held back. He had everything at his disposal, but he held back. This is the second lesson that I learned. So, in this second lesson, I understand that everything that Allah says in the Quran is true. And Allah is telling me in the Quran, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Jannah is going to be the final abode of such people who restrain their desires and their hopes from committing the wrong things. Jannah is going to be their abode, so I decided that I am going to follow through in this path as well and restrain my hopes and desires. Even though I might have everything at my disposal, I am going to refrain. I'm not going down that road. Allah forbids it. The Rasul told us about it. I'm not going down that road. 2 lessons that we mentioned so far. The third lesson, he says that the things that people possess in this world, we realize that depending on the value, the things that are dearest to man are kept in a more secure place. The more valuable it is, the more secure it is, the most amount of security we want to put around these things. So if we have our monies, we're not just going to be holding it exposed to everyone. Right? Want to put it in our wallet, put it in our pockets. Not in the kurta pocket, because they would be able to take it out easy. So we raise the kurta and we put it in the pants pocket. And we secure it a little better. You're traveling, you're going for Hajj. Many of those who perform Hajj or Umrah would know that you're walking with a money belt, because you want to keep your valuables under your ihram. You want to secure it properly. You don't want to leave it in your hotel room. Right? If you do have something to leave in the hotel room, you want to lock it up in the safe in the hotel. More valuable it is, more security. And then we would take our cash and we would deposit it in the bank for safekeeping. We're not talking about the riba and the interest. That is something different. We're talking about safekeeping and security here. So we deposit it in the bank. And sometimes we don't want to declare what it is we have to the bank and whatever, so we take a safety deposit box, put it inside the safety deposit box. Nobody have entry to that. Right? You alone holding the key to that. The more valuable it is, the more security. Our houses are valuable, so we fence it. Right? The people in the house is more valuable, so we put up burglar proofing to keep them inside. Put up steel doors to keep them inside. Put up alarms. Everything that you could possibly think about. Right? We would want to acquire a legal firearm so that we could protect ourselves in the state of crime and all of that we have. More protection. We don't have a firearm or anything like that to protect we teach our family how to protect themselves. It had a fire extinguisher. Somebody come and open it on them. Right? Different things that we could teach our families how to protect themselves. You take a sprayer, your regular bop or anything that you have, you light a light in front of it and you spray it. You could burn somebody with that. Different things people would learn how to protect what is valuable. Anything that we could do to protect what is valuable, we are going to do it. We have our car, we want to protect it. We don't want to park it by the side, we want to put it in a car park. We don't want, we're afraid still in the car park, somebody could come and park the old vehicle and take the ticket and drive out with your new car, so you put an alarm on it. You put the alarm on it, you realize, but wait, now people coming around with this alarm thing, let me put a crook stick on it as well, so you lock down the steering. Right? Why? Because it is valuable. Right? It is valuable. So anything that is of value to the human being, they want to secure it, to ensure that it remains in their possession. But then I read Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying in the Quran, مَا عِنْدَكُمْ يَنْفَرْ وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَاقٍ. Those things that you have in your possession, the things that you have in your possession, they are going to waste away. They're going to finish. But what you leave in the possession of Allah Azza wa Jal is going to endure and remain forever and forever. The things that you have in your possession is either you use it upon your own self, or either you die and your inheritors are now the owners of it. These things are going to waste away. Either you use it up in this world, or either you leave it behind, your inheritors take it, or somebody else. The real owner come for it. Right? The real owner come for it. Somebody come and take it from you. Right? You have it put down there, sit down there for the longest while, and you're using it, and somebody realize, well, wait, you're using it, better borrow it. And they go on with it. But the only thing that is really going to endure with us is that which we send, ma indallah. That is what Allah has. What we have sent forward. Abu Talha radiallahu ta'ala, and in conjunction with this, and the ayat of Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ, that you would not gain unto piety until you spend of that which you love. He had a beautiful garden. Abu Talha was the richest person in Medina. In the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Talha was the richest person in Medina. And he had a prize property. His property was a garden that was situated right in front Masjid-e-Nabawi, where the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam would come to pray. He would go to his garden. It had a well that had sweet water coming from it. The Prophet ﷺ would go and drink from it. He would enjoy the comforts and the beauty of the garden. Many companions would go and they would be praying Nafil Salah in that garden. Oh, what a possession. Right in front of Masjid Nabawi. Nobody want to part with that. Nobody really want to part with that. Masjid Nabawi where the Rasul is, and right in front there, say, boy, me a selling that, don't give me any amount of money, me a selling that. The Rasul is coming there. The Rasul is benefiting from that, not me, me a selling. Such a prized possession. But when he read the ayat of Quran that what is with you is going to finish away, you're going to die and leave it behind, or it is going to be wasted away or used up, he decided that this is so valuable to me, let me deposit this in the treasury of Allah Azza wa Jal, so I would have it forever. I am going to have it forever. Let me deposit it in the treasury of Allah Azza wa Jal. So he went to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, O Prophet of Allah, this is for Allah. This is lillah. This is for the sake of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal says that spend from what we have to develop his taqwa and piety. This is for the sake of Allah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, understanding the value of the asset here, understanding the value of the asset, knowing the individual and how much it meant to him and all of that. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, did accept the gift that he gave, and asked him and told him that it is better that he distribute it amongst his family. He would still get the reward. It was already given fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, but the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam distributed it within his own family, the family of Abu Talha radiallahu ta'ala an. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean to say that he's not going to get the blessings anymore. No, because his intention and his giving, that act is already done. That act is already done. It is fi sabilillah. Give it all. Oh, Prophet of Allah, you disperse of it in any manner that you like. That is now yours. You dispense of it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did give it to two of his cousins, Hassan ibn Thabit and Ubay ibn Ka'ab radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam divided it and gave it to his cousins. My dear brothers and sisters, in this ayat of Quran here, Ma indakum yanfad wa ma indallahi baq. Let us understand, Allah Azza wa Jal, in the ayah just leading up to this one, speaks, وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِأَهْدِ اللَّهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. And do not take a small price, a meager price, a little nothing, so to speak, against the pledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. The pledge of Allah Azza wa Jal, many a times we hear about the pledge and we feel that it is only Salah and the fasting and the Hajj. These are the commitments that we have to Allah Azza wa Jal. My dear brothers and sisters, understand something. وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِأَهْدِ اللَّهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. And do not take a small price, a paltry price, against the pledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. Do not break the covenant of Allah Azza wa Jal for a petty small price. What is a small price? Thamanan qalil. My dear brothers and sisters, this whole world and whatever is contained, what is the value of it? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us it is not even worth the wing of a mosquito. Walking with his companions in the street of Medina, and they come across a kiddie, small goat, passed away, decaying, rotten. We driving down the highway, and they see a dog get bunks, and it sit down on the side, they on the side of the road, dead, swell up, ready to burst. That is for us to understand. Companions walking by, dead kiddie, swollen up, decaying, rotten. The Prophet ﷺ say, who would buy this for 1 dirham? I'm selling this decaying, rotten, dead kiddie here for 1 dirham. Companions, nobody really want that, you know, Prophet of Allah. Nobody really want that. You pay we avoid self. You understand? You know, it's put in our balance, so to speak. You pay we avoid. Dead, decaying, rotten kiddie swell up, ready to burst, and you will we buy that? Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then went on to explain to his companions that this whole world, with all the glitter and the glamour and the wealth and the prosperity that we are seeing, everything in it is more detestable in the sight of Allah than how you are looking down at that dead kiddie. You see how detestable that is looking in your eye? You're going down the highway and you see the dead dog on the side of the road, and if the traffic slow down a little bit, you get some of the smell too. How detestable that is in your eye. This whole world with all the beautiful mountains and vegetation and tall buildings and everything that we are seeing with all the wealth and everything is more detestable in the eyes of Allah than what you are looking at this kiddie here. That is the world. Are we going to now trade for the covenant of Allah, for the trust that we have in Allah Azza wa Jal, the promise that we made to Allah? Are we now going to break that trust for something of this world? Understand, my dear brothers and sisters, that this worldly life is very, very, it has no value. It has no value. We have put a lot of value, we have ascertained a lot of value to it, but it doesn't have that value that we are looking at. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that what we are looking at is a mirage. This world, everything that we are seeing is a mirage. You're thirsty and you're traveling in the desert and you're, yeah, boy, look at that water, then let me go up to it. And you run and you crawl and you reach the water and no water. Right? This is the world. We're struggling hard and we're working towards it. It's not there, it's a mirage. We feel it is real, it is not real, my dear brothers and sisters. Understand something, the covenant of Allah, the covenant of Allah is not only our prayer and our response and the fasting and our ibadah. That is not only the covenant of Allah. The covenant of Allah includes the simple job that we are doing. That you are receiving a salary to perform a job. You have taken a covenant with Allah that I am going to perform this job for this salary, that at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, or at the end of the day, or at the end of the fortnight, whatever is the arrangement, I am going to perform this job. That is a covenant of Allah Azza wa Jal. Just as how to look after our children and to look after our spouse and our response. Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made it very clear. Each and every one of you is a shepherd. You have your covenants and your oath. You have your work cut out. You know what your responsibilities are and you're going to be questioned about them. You are going to be questioned about them. So don't feel that, okay, now, well, I have a government job so I could sit down and relax. Well, I will check and see what time I reach. What time I reach? Well, I said I go leave a little early. You have made a pledge with Allah Azza wa Jal. A pledge doesn't mean to say necessarily say that I swear by Allah that I'm going to. No. That is understood. That I am going to work for you for 40 hours for the week for this salary and I'm going to perform this job. That is a covenant you have with Allah Azza wa Jal. So when you waste away your time or you do not perform your job, then you are breaking the oath of Allah that you have taken with Allah Azza wa Jal. That is the pledge. Do not sell that for a little price. That covenant that you have taken with Allah Azza wa Jal, do not sell it for a little price because, and then again, we could go into the bigger topic of bribery. The bigger topic of bribery. Ibn Atiyah, in his commentary, his tafsir of Bahrul Muhit, have explained to us what is bribery. It is أخذ الأموال على فعل ما يجب على الآخذ فعله. To take monies or some benefit for doing an action which was compulsory for you to do anyway. That was already compulsory for you to do. You are working in a man's shop or in his business, in a government job, and this is the job that you have to perform, but you're waiting, you're hedging. You're dealing, boy, thing real tight, busy boy, that plenty things going on in the office. You have to wait 2 weeks for that, boy. You have to wait 6 months for that. You understand? So you're playing and you're hedging and you're playing and you're delaying the delay tactics for the man to offer you a little thing. Boy, see if you could hurry it up for me now, I go organize you, I go fix you. Right? It was compulsory for you to do that job. You are already being paid for it. To take any sort of compensation, to do something that is already compulsory upon you, is bribery. Similarly, the taking of monies to do something, the doing of which you were supposed to leave out. It was compulsory for you to leave it out. You're not allowed, no one was allowed to enter into this compound. You are the security guard. You're supposed to debar anybody from coming in. But they run a little change for you. You understand? Come now, no problem, come in now. That is bribery. You are breaking the covenant of Allah for what? A paltry price. A little spit, as they would say it. Right? Nothing. For nothing. Right? And you feel that you have gained. You feel that you have gained something by doing that. Ma indakum yanfad wa ma indallahi baq. What is with you is going to waste away. What is with Allah is going to endure. Wala tashtaru bi ahdillahi thamanan qalila. Do not break the covenant of Allah. And then we say, ma indakum yanfad. What is with you is going to waste away. Many a times when we hear this, we feel what is with us is only the physical, material wealth that is around us. No. Maulana Sayyid Asghar Hussain of Darul Ulum Deoband explains that ma indakum, that what is with you includes happiness and sorrow, health and sickness, pain and discomfort. All of these things, the pain and the comfort and everything that we have with us, do not feel that we are going to just trade it away for something that is insignificant. Remember, even the pain and the little, there is not even, the hadith of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us, that not even a thorn, a little picker, as we would say, that sticks a person, but there is a blessing in it for him. It is a means, Allah uses that as a means of removing these little trials and tests that we get. Allah uses it as a means of cleansing the individual. It is used as a means for us to check our step. Watch what you're doing. Nothing that happened to the companions of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was just take it for granted. Why did this happen to me? Things are not going good, they go to praise Allah. Right? They turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. Something happened with me this morning, a knife fell down, almost fell on my foot. Why did this happen? Am I doing something wrong? Allah Azza wa Jal is trying to send me a message of, Allah Azza wa Jal is trying to use this as a means of purging and cleansing me. Am I performing something that is wrong? Am I not fulfilling my rights? Use it. Everything that has happened towards us, against us, look at it. It could be a test from Allah Azza wa Jal to see how we respond. It could be a means whereby Allah purges us. Allah cleanses us from the sins that we have committed. So do not break the covenant of Allah Azza wa Jal for something that is small, right? And included in that, as I mentioned, is the simple tasks that we do every day, the little jobs that we do every day. And remember, the pledge of Allah Azza wa Jal is not only our salah and our fasting and all of that, but the covenant and the oath and the pledge that we have with Allah Azza wa Jal includes all those things as the simple job that we are doing. So do not go in the workplace and loaf away your time. You go and there are people, long lines, and you are carrying on your conversation. Why? Because, well, it's a government job, they can't fire me just so. That had to go before some commission and this and that. And it take them 5 years before they could even fire me. They could suspend me and I collecting full pay. Suspended with full pay. So in order to get full pay and a home, where you want more than that? You understand? So how do we answer to Allah Azza wa Jal for that money that we are collecting? How do we answer to Allah Azza wa Jal? That you take a task to do a certain job, right? That to be completed in a certain time, and because of your incompetence or because of your lackadaisical attitude, it is dragging on and on and on, and you want more money and more money and more money. You have to stand before your Lord. Do not break the covenant of Allah. So Hatam Assam is telling his sheikh, he says that I read that Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying in the Quran, ma indakum yanfad, that which is going to be wasted away. So all of these monies that I am working for and all of these things and these little handouts that I am getting and all of that, my dear brothers and sisters, it is going to waste away, and what is with Allah is going to endure. It is going to endure. So anytime, he says, anytime I have something of value that is of great asset to me and I want to keep it, I deposit in the treasury of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because I am going to have it. It would remain with me. I am going to enjoy the benefits of it. Continuously I am going to enjoy the benefits of it. So I deposit it in the treasury of Allah Azza wa Jal. He goes on to explain Hatam Asam. He says that when we look around for honor and glory and prestige, and everybody wants to be looked up as somebody, I am not just the ordinary person, I am a little different. For in order to accomplish that, I realize that people are looking at the amount of wealth that they have. Well, I am so, yes, in the ride or what? They say, no, Nissan and Toyota and Japanese vehicles. This is European vehicles, Volvo and Audi and Range Rover and all of that. Look at the ride. Now, don't misunderstand me. If a person can afford and Allah has blessed him with and he wants to drive that, there's nothing wrong with it. But do not use that now as a means of asserting that I am somebody. And allow ujb, that I am somebody. Self-conceit, where we feel that we are somebody. We are cut above the rest. Why? Because of the family that I come from. Because of the wealth that I have. Because of the properties that I possess. I am now somebody. No, people are looking in the wrong places. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in the Quran, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in the Quran that the person who has the most amount of prestige and respect and honor and dignity and glory and all of that is the person who has the most amount of piety. Not the person with the most amount of children or the most amount of wealth or the most amount of real estate or investment in foreign countries and foreign businesses. No, not that person. We look at the wealth that a person has. A man, you should respect a man, right? You understand? Because he could take you out in a one little parlor you run in there. You understand? Next thing you hear it run bus. So understand what you're saying. We are saying to disrespect anybody, but do not look at the material things that we have or we possess and feel that we are greater than somebody else. My dear brothers and sisters, leading up to this ayat of Quran, where we are looking for ikram, right? We're looking for honor and glory. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Allah Azza wa Jal has made 6 things in the preceding ayats. Just before it, he has mentioned 6 things that we should not do. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu La yaskhar qawmun min qawmin asa an yakuna khayran minhum. Do not ridicule one another. Right? Do not ridicule one another. You're trying to belittle somebody else. All you're trying to do is not really belittle the person. You're trying to big up your own self. But you're doing it at the expense of those around. In order for you to show up yourself big, you have to make everybody else small. La yaskhar qawmun min qawmin asa an yakuna khayran minhum. It's highly possible that they are better off than you, That they are better than you. Highly possible that they are better than you. Right? So one thing, do not go ridiculing one another. The first thing that Allah Azza wa Jal has forbidden. Wala talmizu anfusakum. Do not go looking and searching for faults in one another. Especially if you hear you have a little confrontation with a brother. A little thing happened in the masjid, but you can't see how he does be doing so. Can't remember how he does be doing so and so. And you're now looking, checking out to see, wonder how we doing this action, how we doing that action, what work he doing, where he does get his money from. And you start now searching for imaginary things that are not even there. You start to find fault in everything. You start to find fault in every. Do not go searching for faults in your brother. Right? Do not go searching for wala talmizu anfusakum. Second thing. Do not go searching for faults. The third thing Allah Azza wa Jal prohibits, wala tanabazu bil alqab. Do not call one another with nicknames. Right? Calling one another nicknames, you're calling a man a name in order to belittle him. Again, right? In order to belittle him. Not belittling him, is bigging up your own self. You understand? That is what you're trying to do. That is why these things, Allah Azza wa Jal had prohibited these things. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Allah Azza wa Jal goes on to say, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ. Suspicion. Right? Suspicion. Always think good about your Muslim brother. Now, suspicion, Imam Abu Bakr Jassas in his Ahkam al-Quran went to explain. It is not a general term like that. There are some suspicions that are compulsory. There are some suspicions that is desirable. There are some suspicions that are haram. Right? There are different categories of suspicion. We will not get into it. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, let's beware of suspicion because they are sinful. We start to know, we take, when you start from this corner of the room and you whisper a story, and that starts to change from one to the next, from one to the next, from one to the next. By the time you reach that corner of the room, it's a total different story, It's a total different story because everybody now thinking, well, he didn't explain that, but he had only a little piece. And everybody adding on the little piece. So by the time it reaches the next corner of the room, it's a totally different story. Right? Why? Because we have this great imagination inside of us. We see one thing and we deduce a whole lot of things after it. Why he would be there? Boy, I see the man come out of the rum shop, boy. I sure I see him come out from by the rum shop. I feel he may be playing a little lotto play with. Or if he's drinking. Right? And all of this is going to go through our minds. He should not find himself there. But why are we not thinking good about the individual? The place you can get the coolest Malta is in a rum shop. The coolest Malta to drink you'll get is in a rum shop. Them parlor and them, they had a little fridge and they put a Malta inside it, a cool, again that hot. Right? So think good. Have good thoughts about your Muslim brother. Right? Do not go down the line. Yes, if you want to speak with him and advise him that, brother, look, it's not really a nice thing. I see you coming, you wearing this big long jubban beard and you coming out of the rum shop and you're really looking nice, You could speak to the brother about it. But do not create that kind of suspicion in your mind. Allah Azza wa Jalla is prohibiting us from that. Allah Azza wa Jalla goes on, number 5 thing that we need to stay away from. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not go spying on one another. Do not go spying on one another. Watching through your curtain to see what the neighbor, that kind of thing. Do not go spying on one another. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Number 6, no ghibat. No backbiting. Right? Don't go backbiting your Muslim brother. Right? The Quran is very clear as to that. These 6 things that are mentioned. And then Allah Azza wa Jal goes on to say, because these are the things that we are going to do in order to belittle and look down on people and create suspicion and everything in order for we ourselves to look big. Right? That is why Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about those things. Stay away from those things. Because what you are looking for, the glory, the honor, the respect that you are looking for is in taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The one who is most God-fearing is the one who is going to have the most amount of honor. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jal in this verse of Quran has laid down an all-comprehensive, all-pervading principle He has laid down for us in this ayat of Quran. And that is of human equality in this ayat of Quran. That this notion that we have, that I come from this island, I don't know, Guyanese, I'm not from Grenada, I'm not from the small, I'm from Trinidad. And we feel because of that, because of the piece of land that we born in, that we are superior because of the pigmentation of the skin. And you know, you're getting products for that nowadays, a little bleaching of the skin and it go get clearer. Right? So, big seller in the market, bleach the skin a little bit, you'll get a little whiter. Right? Why? Because we feel that the honor and the glory and the respect is in the color of the skin. I don't want to hear curly or white straight. So we would spend a lot of money on the heating irons and all them kind of thing. Why? Because we feel that the honor and the glory and the respect is on the quality of hair that we have, the clothing that we have on, in the family that we come from, in the vehicle that we drive, in all of these things. We feel that that is where the respect is, the wealth that we have, the bank book that we could open and we could keep checking over and over again. Yesterday you open it, you take out no money, but today you open it back to make sure it's correct. You don't know bank transaction, but you still open it to watch it. You like to see it. Human being likes to see it pile up, you know. Like to see it pile up. Right? That's one of the qualities we come down with. Right? We like to see it heap up in big heaps. Right? So, Allah Azza wa Jal is telling us in this ayat of Quran that it is not the texture of the hair, it is not the pigmentation of the skin, it is not the family that you come down from, the lineage, the parentage that you have. That is why when the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some people visited the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his early days of prophethood and they asked him two questions. Man anta wa ma anta? Who are you and what are you? Two questions. Answer these two questions. The first question about who are you was like a one-word answer. I am Muhammad ibn Abdullah. I am Muhammad the son of Abdullah. End of that question. And then the whole length of the question went on to deal with, what am I? The Prophet of Allah, the servant of Allah. It went on, that was the place where the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam made his emphasis. Who I am, who am I, is irrelevant. That was sufficient. I am Muhammad the son of Abdullah, and that was sufficient. Right? So the parentage and the lineage and the family we come from and where we born and what trade we have and what business we have and that kind of thing. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. We were all created from Adam and Eve. Every one of us existing in the world came from Adam and Eve. Nobody here come from outer space, you know. Nobody here come make up with anything different. All of we are descendants of Adam and Eve. And Allah Azza wa Jal, in this ayat of Quran, right? In this, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu inna khalaqnakum min dhakari wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. Has laid down the reason for the different tribes and nations and this different texture and all that kind of thing and our different linguistical skills and languages and all that is only for recognition, you know. That is all. That is all. It is only for recognition. Nothing else. If all of us, and you know nowadays plenty of us had that kind of problem, when you look at Chinese people, there are many people who have a difficulty in differentiating Chinese people. Isn't that so? That is a reality. In Trinidad here, you see, by like all of them looking the same way, boy. All of them like looking the same way. They're all of them the same size, the same height, the same color, everything. And we have a little difficulty. The purpose, just imagine if the entire creation was like that, where you can't differentiate one from the other. You can't tell one from the other. And in this world, 6 billion or 8 billion, whatever figure we reach right now, I'm too sure. Right? How difficult it's going to be for recognition. But Allah Azza wa Jal has made that lita'arafu, so that we could recognize one another. We would know one another. That is the only reason. It is nothing about being superior to one another. There is no superiority of an Arab over a non-Arab. Right? So all this ikram and respect and honor that we feel that we have because of the length of beard that we have, or the length of the jubba that we could put on, or the prettier gown that I could wear on, or a abaya that I could put on at the end of the month of Ramadan and feel that I am the biggest sheikh that it have. Best Ramadan. Why? Because of the way you dress up on Eid Day? Does that give you any rank and position and honor? No, my dear brothers and sisters. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. the one with the most amount of piety and God-fearingness in his heart, that is, Allah is the one who controls the heart. The qulub of Bani Adam is between the fingers of Rahman. And do not feel that because I move my fingers, it is fingers like that. What are the fingers of Allah? The hands of Allah, the feet of Allah. That is from amongst the mutashabihat. We do not compare it with our physical makeup. But the hearts could be turned, just as how we could take our fingers and we could move something around quickly. The hearts of the man, of the children of Adam, hearts of mankind, they are within the grasp and the control of Allah. So He'll turn them around. So if Allah wants to give respect to someone, you could be the poorest person in the community, the simplest person in the community, and if Allah wants to put respect for people, respect for you in people's heart, you are going to get that respect because of your taqwa and your piety. And you could be the richest person, owning the most amount of properties in the community, have the biggest bank book, right? And people would show nafrat and hatred towards you if Allah does not put your respect in their heart. And we see it. It's a living example. Sometimes the person who is delivering mail by our door, the letters and that kind of thing, we show more respect to them. Sometimes the people who are taking up our garbage in front by us, we feel better off talking with them than sometimes talking to some of the rich people around by us, because they feel that we are nothing, and they treat us like that as well. Right? So my dear brothers and sisters, understand, Allah Azza wa Jal here is showing us that the only reason for the pigmentation, the difference in pigmentation of our skin and our hair and the language that we speak and the piece of earth on which we are born. It's a green card I have, American citizen, And we feel because of that we are superior to someone who was born in Jamaica or someone who was born in Africa. Because of where we are born, because of the passport that we hold, we feel that is where the respect and the honor is. No, my dear brothers and sisters. It is in the taqwa and the piety of Allah Azza wa Jal that these things have. My dear brothers, and we know from that the human being, this ayat of Quran, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, was actually revealed when the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam had entered into Medina, into Makkah, the conquest of Makkah. They entered into Makkah. One of the most remarkable events on the face of the earth, that you could conquer a place with that amount of soldiers and not one life lost. Remarkable incident, the conquest of Makkah during the month of Ramadan. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered, and it was time for Salah, so he told Bilal radiallahu ta'ala an, who was the official muazzin, call out the adhan. Bilal radiallahu ta'ala going to call out the adhan. One of the persons present remarked, "Oh God, it's a good thing my father dead already, so you don't have to see this day. You don't have to see this day. Check the person they're putting up there to call the adhan." Another person remarked, "Couldn't Muhammad find anybody else besides this black crow to call the adhan?" He had the remarks, sir. He had the remarks. Couldn't find nobody else. That's the best person he could have find. Right? Abu Sufyan said, "See me I say nothing. No. If I utter anything, it's highly possible that the Lord above they go inform." And really and truly, Allah Azza wa Jal did inform the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam of all the remarks that they made. And then the ayat of Quran was revealed. The ayat of Quran was revealed. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Not because you are Quraysh, not because your skin is a little clearer, not because your hair is straight that you have any more piety. You don't even have the morals to stand on. You don't have a leg to stand on with that kind of attitude. That is how you look at it, a human being. That is how you consider another human being. Because you born in this place, or you belong to this tribe, you feel you are greater than somebody else. No, inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. That human beings can earn honor on account of the taqwa that we possess. If you are looking for honor and respect and dignity, look for it in the taqwa and the God-fearingness. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal, and that is where you are going to get the taqwa, my dear brothers and sisters. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on to do the tawaf of the Kaaba, and he was sitting on his she-camel, and the purpose of doing tawaf on his she-camel is that the other companions, 120,000, whatever number they were in, would be able to see what the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is doing as well. So he's going around and he's doing tawaf, and then he explained to them that Alhamdulillahi alladhi azhaba ankum abiyatal jahiliyah, that all praise is due to Allah, who has removed from you the pride of jahiliyah and its arrogance that comes with it. Allah has removed that from you. An-nasu rajulan, people are of two types. They are one type of people who is righteous, fearful of Allah, and he is honorable in the sight of Allah. Because of his righteousness and the fear of Allah that he has, he is honorable in the sight of Allah. Or a man who is sinful and he is wretched, and he would be disgraced and he is belittled in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. Two types of people. You decide which batch you want to join. You decide which batch you want to join. Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Ra'isul Mufassirin, the leader of the commentators of the Quran, has explained that for people, honor lies in wealth. The human beings, we look at wealth. Come what may, at the end of the day, because of our human weakness, we looking at how much money the man have. And we feel that he is more honorable because of the amount of money that he has. We feel. That is what we think. That honor lies in the amount of wealth that a man possesses. Whilst in the sight of Allah, it is righteousness alone that determines. It is righteousness alone that determines respect in the sight of Allah. We feel honor and all of that is in wealth, but in the sight of Allah it is righteousness, and righteousness alone that determines that, my dear brothers and sisters. Sheikh Shakik Balki goes on. He goes on to explain to his Sheikh these qualities, these lessons that he have learned. And lesson number 5, he says, I have noticed that people scold others, they revile other people, they find fault with them out of what? Out of jealousy. We become jealous of other people because of what other people possess, what we see they having, the vehicle that they're driving and all that kind of thing. We become jealous of them and we start to point fingers and blame and all these sort of things. But then I read that Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying in the Quran, نَحْنُ قَسَمْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَرَفَعْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ دَرَجَاتٍ لِيَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا سُخْرِيًّا. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in the Holy Quran that we have distributed among them, the human beings, we are the ones who have distributed among them their livelihood in this world. We have distributed that. That is not in their hands. We have distributed that. And as a result of that, we have placed some of them over others. Why? So that they would be able to take work from them. Understand what we are saying here? Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in the Quran that we are the ones who have distributed livelihood amongst human beings. We do that. We have taken that task. This is not something that we have put in the hands of the human beings. We have done that. And as a result of that, we place some of them in higher rank than others so that they could work with one another. Some of them would be bosses, some of them would be servants, some of them would be doing different tasks. This is a whole system that has been created by Allah Azza wa Jal. Let us understand. In this ayat of Quran, this is just the ending part of the ayat of Quran. In the beginning part of the ayat of Quran, there were people who were complaining, why is it Allah Azza wa Jal did not reveal this Quran upon some great man, right? Some great person from these great cities like Taif or Makkah or something. Why the Quran didn't go down to some rich person like that? Their first objection, the very first objection of the Quraysh and the disbelievers was what? Why Allah had to send down a man who eating and drinking and walking in the marketplace just like us? Why this person has to be a messenger? Why it couldn't be like an angel or something like that? So after many arguments in the Quran, they stopped talking about that. When it was pointed out to them that all the previous messengers, all of them that came, they were human beings. Allah didn't send down no angels as messengers, All of them were human beings. Right? So here as well, the Rasul, so they accepted, okay, well, it has to be a book of everybody else. You know what I mean? Muhammad, it could be one of them rich men from Taif or something, and a whole list of names they give. You understand? Because we feel that the wealth that a person have, they go be a better leader. Right? Again, the flawed in our system, in our thinking, when you hear we do not purify the nafs, that is how we think. We look at the dollar value. And that is what cashes in most in our mind. But he go be the Amir, and he's a good leader. You know why he's a good leader? Yeah, he a big business. So if the masjid need any money and that kind of thing, well, we have him there already. You understand? He go cough it up. Right? So we feel that he go be a good imam because he have money, he have backing. Who go be the best leader? Well, man, the best person to become minister, Yeah, well, he have money. So he's the best minister. You understand? He's the best president. Why? Because he well off. You understand? And we look at the dollar value, in everything that we. So again, in the time of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, no different. They make Muhammad a messenger. That the best person Allah can make a messenger out of all them rich people that have around the place who have good lineage as well and that kind of thing. Gotta make one of them. So after all that argument is finished, right? And the objection about, then one of the things that we have to, Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in this ayat of Quran, we are the ones, we know how to distribute wealth. That is their first question, the distribution of prophethood. That you think that they discussed it first. Why Muhammad to make him a messenger? Why not somebody else? And Allah Azza wa Jalla goes on to explain to them that the simple material things that is of no significance, I have not even put that in your care and your charge for you to distribute. I haven't even given you that to do. To decide who is going to become an engineer, who is going to become a garbage man, who is going to become a doctor, who is going to become a servant, who is going to become a laundry person. You haven't made any decision. That is not in your grasp and your control. نَحْنُ قَسَمْنَاهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. We have taken that job upon ourselves. We have taken that job upon ourselves. No government comes together and says that, okay, look, this family here would become laundry people, and this family would become restaurant, this family here is going to own supermarkets, and this. Anytime you hear that the human being tries to take control of a system like that, it can't last a day. It cannot last a day. Right, my dear brothers and sisters, this natural system that Allah has created, He has created such a system amongst the human beings that we all have to work with one another in order for it to come out properly. For this world to exist, if everybody was rich, imagine this, everybody was rich, same status, same money, same everything, like the social system wants to do. Right? Everybody trying their best to get out of the social system. You understand? Because the doctor working for the same amount of money like the garbage man. Everybody in the same basket, again the same one bread a day or two bread a day, you join the line, everybody getting the same thing. Right? As soon as you can get a passport to get out of there, you're gone. Right? It doesn't work. The social system doesn't work. Allah has created the system. He has taken that responsibility. the needs of a society, how to meet those needs, the means of production, everything, that function rests with Allah Azza wa Jal. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah has made us dependent on one another. That is the society, that is the system that Allah has created, developed by Allah Azza wa Jal to solve all our issues that we have. Allah has created this system of mutual interdependence on one another. That if you hear your cesspit tank clog up and you can't get the people from solid waste to come and clean it, then you have a problem. You have a problem. As insignificant as you might look at that work, that you're pumping out sewage, from as insignificant as you might look at that work, let it all come and do it now. Let it all come and do it. And you'll find yourself in a very sticky situation. So Allah Azza wa Jal has created this system of supply and demand. That system of supply and demand was designed by Allah Azza wa Jal. So you find that there is need for a certain commodity. When the demand goes up, then the price starts to rise, the profits start to raise in it, more people start to produce until they start to overproduce, then the price goes down, the profit margin cuts back. That is a system that was designed by Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? That was a system that was designed by Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? That is a system that works in the entire world. So on the one hand, we have the social system that tries to dictate everything that people should get. How much salary they should get, what size house they should live in. You could only have 1.5 child or 2.5 children you're allowed to have. This is what you have to have, and that doesn't work, my dear brothers and sisters. Nowhere in the world is it working. Why? Because everybody who is in that system is trying to get out of it. On the other hand, we have the capitalist system, which has given so much of freedom to the human being, right, that lawful and unlawful now is of no significance. So much of rights that it has given, it has nothing like lawful and unlawful in that. Everything, once it is to acquire money, then that is it. That is the objective at the end of the day. That is the capitalist system. Allah Azza wa Jal has created a system. Allah's system of supply and demand puts limits on us of what is halal and what is haram. Don't go there, you can't do that. Riba and interest is haram, don't do this. This type of trading is not permissible. Hoarding is not permissible. And then on top of defining and describing all what is permissible and what we could do, you have to still come and pay your zakat. You have to pay your ushur. You have to pay your khiraj, your khimas, everything. What all the taxes and levies that the Islamic law has put, you still have to come and pay it at the end of the day. Right? And that is the system that was designed by Allah Azza wa Jal in order to make this society work. So when the capitalist system now wants to come and say, no, you could do anything to get any amount of money, and you don't have, that is your money, you don't have to give back. You don't have to give back. There is nothing that is forcing anybody to give back. That is yours. If Bill Gates don't want to come and spend so much money and so much money there, there's nothing that could force him to do it, you know. He might be doing it. Somebody else might be spending. Right? But at the end of the day, what is it that is telling him that he has to spend so much? What defines that this is the amount that you have to spend? Islam. Allah has taken that responsibility. نَحْنُ قَسَمْنَاهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. We have to, you cannot do the simple task of arranging the things of the world, or who going to do this. This is who is going to get married to whom? How do you know who is going to get married to whom? Is there a system that is fixed? No. Allah has distributed that. So the inclination that we have towards a human being. Say, boy, you like a girl like that, boy? A girl like that you like? But Allah has created that inclination of one heart to the other, of one human being to the other. That is a system that was designed by Allah Azza wa Jal. So on the one hand, we have the over-free capitalist system, and we have, on the other hand, the restricted socialist system that doesn't work. The system that Allah has created, the natural system of demand and supply, with all its restrictions. Now, even in this supply and demand system, you have people who could come up with monopolies. They come together and they say, okay, look, all of we're going with one head. We go hold on the market, so on. So we know we're not doing so much. The Islamic government is allowed to intervene and break up those monopolies when they are transpired, when they are taking place. That is the system that Allah has designed that works. That is the system, and that is what Allah Azza wa Jal is telling us in the Quran. We have done that. This is in our hands. You cannot do simple tasks. You're talking about prophethood and who should be prophet, and you want to decide. Let me do the voting system now. Let me vote in the prophet. We have a vote. Who's going to be the prophet? Can you imagine who they go voting to be a prophet? If the human being had to choose a prophet, sometime when we have to choose a simple minister or a leader or somebody to represent us, that is such a difficult task. 99% of the time we just get it wrong. 99% of the time we just get it wrong. So when we speak about equality in Islam, it has nothing to do with the income of an individual, That we all have to have the same amount of money coming in, so therefore that makes us equal. No, that is not a requirement for equity. Neither is that established anywhere, except of course in some socialist countries where they might try to do it. It is not possible, and it is not even desired in Islam. The equality that Islam has established is in with regard to laws, our social behavior, the honoring the rights of other people. That is the equality that we are speaking about. There is not one law for one person and a different law for a next person. The law remains the same. Everybody is equal in exercising his legal rights, his social rights. He must be equal in it. It does not mean that a rich man now, because of his wealth and his status now, could go and get something done easy. And the poor man had to go knocking and begging from door to door in order to get the same right done. Right? You could stay home and you could have a certified copy coming to you for your vehicle. And the next man had to go and line up in licensing office whole day in order to get a certified copy. Right? Islamic law, when we speak about equality, the rights for everyone must be the same. Not because I am rich, I have to stand up in the front saf behind the imam. You are poorer, so you go in the second saf, and the poorest would go in the third saf. No. Islam shows us equality. We could stand shoulder to shoulder. My salah is the same ruku and sijda that we have to go in. It is not because I am richer that I would stand and pray. I'll go in ruku and sijda. I would stand up and pray. That is the equality that Islam teaches us. That is why Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and he said that I swear by Allah that nobody is stronger in my sight than the weak man until I could get his rights for him and make sure that he has his rights. And nobody is weaker than that strong person until I take the rights that he is supposed to give. I take it from him. So strength and weakness in Islam is the rights of the equality that we are speaking about in Islam. Is not the amount of money that we have and that coming. That is not something that is required. Neither is it something that is desirable. Everybody, the system that is created by Allah Azza wa Jal is the supply and the demand system that works for itself. Sometimes you have a person, I know of many people who went to university and they studied to become lawyer or doctor, and then after they say, I really want to be a lawyer, And then they finish that and they qualify and they go on to do law. Because they are more comfortable with that. They feel more satisfied in doing that job. Who has allocated these jobs? Who has made this system that we have in the world of interdependence between one another? Allah Azza says, "Nahnu qasamnahum bainahum ma'ishatuhum." We have distributed that. Allah Azza wa Jal has taken that responsibility to create that system, and that is why We cannot, the amount of income that a person has and that kind of thing is similar, just as we cannot differentiate and it is irrelevant. So too, the amount of beauty that a person has, the amount of elegance that a person has, the amount of children that one person has compared with the other, the amount of wives one have compared to the other one. These are things that Allah Azza wa Jal has distributed. That doesn't mean to say that we are not equal. Equal in what sense when Islam speaks about equality? It doesn't mean to say everybody has the same say. No, but the rights, the social rights that the individual have, it doesn't mean to say that the rich man, or because he's rich and he had to cough out plenty money, so okay, let he only pay a 1% zakat. Because he 1% coming up to $100,000. And the poor man 2.5% only coming up to a few $100. So let he pay 2, better he pay 5. So you go get, no, that is not the system. The system is the rights of the human beings are all equal. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us understand these points that Hatem Asam is explaining to his sheikh that he has learned in the 33 years that he has been in company with him, and may he give us the ability, the tawfiq to implement them in our lives. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.